Hi, welcome everybody for coming to this new Laravel meetup. I'm so happy that you guys could make it tonight, and I think we'll have a very good time. I'd like to thank Algolia for hosting us tonight. We have this awesome room, and we'll have then pizza and beers, as you guys know. This is the best part. The schedule. You probably know it already, but we'll have Nuno talking about Scout Extended. Then Pierre-Yves Lebec will talk about queue job orchestration with Zenaton. Then we'll have a Q&A session with Taylor Otwell. If you have some question, it's okay. If you don't, please prepare some. And to finish, we'll have the best part, like I said, with the pizza, the beers, snacks, and socialization. It's a good time to make friends and meet fellow artisans. Just a few words on Laravel France. It's built as a forum, so people come here to get help and talk a bit about Laravel, but the most important for me, and probably for most of us, is the Slack. If you want, you can just go to that link, register, and you can join the Slack to talk with us anytime. So enjoy. If you want to tweet some stuff, please do use the hashtag Laravel Meetup. And now I will ask Nuno to come to talk about Laravel Extended. He works here at Algolia, and yeah, please enjoy and welcome Nuno.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming here today. My name is Nuno. I do work for Algolia, and today I'm going to talk to you about Scout Extended. But before make you understand what Scout Extended is, I'm going to show you what Scout means in the first place. Typically, this is the way of doing search using Laravel. What you do is you take the query out of the request, you send that query into the query builder, where you perform some join conditions, some where conditions, and then you get models out of it, and you send those models into the view. Pretty basic, and behind the scenes, it's also basic. You are just performing search operations in your database. Now, in 2016, Laravel have realized the package Scout, which is a way of giving a search functionality into your Laravel application. Concerning the developer experience, we did have an improvement, because Scout had a new method called search into your searchable models, which means you still get the query out of the request, but now you are sending that query into this new search method. You are still getting models and sending those models into the view. Now, behind the scenes, things change a little bit, because the write operations, every time you save an article, update an article, that article is going to your database as well, but now Scout forwards your data to the searchable engine, to the search engine. And now you are no longer making search operations in your database, but you are making search operations using a search engine. Now, this is really important. Why should you use a search engine in the first place? And for two main reasons. The first one is relevance. You want to give to your users exactly what they're searching for. And you also want to leverage some features such as typo tolerance. When the users make a mistake on your search input, you still want them to get the correct results at the end. And also the speed. Speed is important. The users don't like to wait. And by the way, Algolia is super fast. Now, let me say to you that Scout is engine agnostic, which means that it supports Algolia behind the scenes and officially, but it also supports Elasticsearch, TNT search, and many others. But due to the fact that Scout is engine agnostic, it's also generic. It keeps search simple. And you cannot leverage the full power of Algolia. And for this reason, we have created Scout Extended. And you can see Scout Extended as a Laravel Scout, but with Algolia specific features. And today I'm going to demo Scout Extended for you. And on this demo, I'm going to show you how can you improve the search experience with Scout Extended. I'm going to show you how can you reindex your data with zero downtime. I'm going to show you how can you have a status overview of your indexes. And also, how can you have multiple indexes in the same index using aggregators. Before showing the features, I'm going to show you the demo project that I have prepared for you. This is normal UI for a search experience, which means you do have an input, but you also have some search results below. And since this is a fresh application of Laravel with Scout, it doesn't have Scout Extended yet, but I can already leverage some Algolia features such as typo tolerance. So if I do search for Laravel with a mistake, the double A here, I still get results, which is cool. Now, behind the scenes, this is a pretty normal Laravel application. On the app structure, we do have an article model here, which is searchable by Scout. We do have an event model here, which is not searchable. And the structure of those models are also basic. On the article, I do have an ID, an image, title, author, slug, and a number of likes. And the structure of the events is the same. Now, on the HTTP layer, we also are basic here, which means I do have a single route where I do take the query, send the query into the search method of Scout, I retrieve the models, and I send the models to the view. Now, let's take a look about some uncommon problems while using searching in Laravel. The first one is, here I have searched for Laravel with a typo. But in first place, I'm not seeing the most relevant result, because right below, I do have an article created by Taylor Otwell with 9,000 likes on it, which means probably this article right here should be in the first place. Another thing, though, is the fact that if I copy-paste something that exists on this image, such as the number, I still get some results out of it. So probably the image URL should not be searchable, because this is just a normal random number, right? Another thing is some people search using natural language, which means if I search install Laravel, I get results. But if I search using natural language, such as can I install Laravel, I'm not getting results out of it, and probably I should. Now, let's fix those issues using Scout Extended. So the first topic is, how can you improve the search experience using this package? In order to install Scout Extended, it's pretty simple. You just have to type composer require Algolia Scout Extended. So I'm just pulling the package through Composer. Now, after installing this package through Composer, you will notice that if you type PHP artisan, you do have the basic Scout commands such as flush and import. Everyone can see the screen, the font is fine? Okay, cool. The Scout offers by default the flush and the import, but with Scout Extended, you have way more commands. So we do have here some commands extra to work with your Scout application. And since we are talking about optimizing the search experience, let's type PHP artisan scout optimize. Now, a couple things happen here. Take a look. The first thing that happens is Scout Extended detects all your searchable models for you, which means that you don't have to type under your command line which models are searchable. Scout Extended does that for you. And then it creates a settings file out of your model, which means this is a settings file with specific Algolia features in order to improve your search experience. And Scout Extended have written your model in order to build that settings file. Let's take a look into this settings file. The settings file is created over config, scout, and name the name of the model. And in here, we do have a couple things. The first thing is Scout Extended have detected that only the title, the author, and the slug should be searchable. So the problem of having the image URL as a searchable attribute is no longer there. And again, Scout Extended also have detected that the custom ranking is the number of likes descending, which means that Scout Extended have detected that the number of likes should be relevant. So on the search results, the Taylor Otwell article will be displayed in the first place. And also, something really cool is the remove stop words. By default, it's null, but if I set this setting at true, we are able to search using natural language, which means in order to retrieve the articles that match the criteria install Laravel, I can also type, can I install Laravel? And Algolia is smart enough to understand that we are searching for install Laravel keywords. Now, we just have reviewed this settings file. Let's now send the settings file into Algolia index. I'm going to get back into my terminal, and I'm going to type scout sync. This command will basically say, okay, I have detected that I didn't have settings yet remotely, so I'm just receiving your updating file. Now, we do create a file locally, which can be really useful when you want to perform some backups locally of your settings. Eventually later, if you change from Algolia account, you still have these settings as a backup of your settings. Now that we have uploaded all the settings file, we can see what happened here in our demo project. The first thing is, I'm now searching for, can I install Laravel? And I'm getting search results, which can be really cool because Algolia behind the scenes understand that the can and the hi are stop words, should not be taken in consideration. And now, if I type, can I install Laravel in Symfony, I will not get results because Algolia detects that Symfony should be taken in consideration. Another thing is, if I type Laravel, Taylor Otwell article is now in the first place. So Scout Extended have detected that this article is really relevant when people are searching for Laravel. And finally, if I do search for an image, for something that exists on this image URL, I no longer have search results, which means that we have optimized the search experience, which is pretty cool. Now, you can go even further because Algolia have a lot of options like this. You just go to algolia.com/doc and you will find a couple of options that you can use to optimize your search experience. Let's move along to cool stuff. Now, this is really important. I'm going to talk to you about reindex your data with zero downtime. When you're using Scout only, you have access to two commands, as I show you. You have access to the flush command and the import command. In production, when you need to re-import your data, you are forced to flush your data in production, which means delete your index records, and then you have to import your data again. And meanwhile, if you are using a product which is a shop or an e-commerce platform, you are losing money because people don't have access to the search functionality. Now, with Scout Extended, we have fixed this. If we take a look onto the terminal, if I do type the list of artisan commands, I do have a command here called scout reimport. Now, this command, when I run this command, Obviously, it will detect again the searchable models for us. We don't need to type it. But three things happen here. The first one is we create a temporary index. The second thing is we import all your data to that temporary index. And finally, at the end, we just replace the production index by the temporary one, which leads to zero downtime. I'm going to demo this to you using real code. On Sublime Text, I'm going to just go to the reimport command, which is the command that does all of this work. And at the end of the command, just right here, I'm going to have an echo saying that I'm sleeping. And I'm going to also make a sleep of 10 seconds. Now, if I launch this command, I will see the sleep message. And at that time, I'm going to try to use the search functionality. So here, I'm going to see the sleeping. And meanwhile, I'm going to search for something here. And as you can see, I'm using the search functionality while my data is being re-imported, which can be pretty cool and leads to zero downtime while you are importing your data. Now, let's move on to status overview of our indexes. With Scout, you don't have a way of knowing the current status of your indexation. If you want to know how many models are searchable, you have to check the code. If you want to know how many records you have locally, you have to do a SQL query. And if you want to know how many records you have remotely, you have to just go to Algolia dashboard. And with Scout Extended, we have fixed this. I'm going to get over into the terminal, and I'm going to type art scout status. This command is really cool because it displays, I'm going to make this bigger. It displays a table which contains every searchable model of your application. It contains the name of the index. It contains information about if the settings are up to date or not, and also the number of local and remote records. So you know exactly what's going on. And just to give you an example, if I add over into my Scout articles here, I'm going to just change the settings into false here on the remove stop words. And now, if I rerun this command, you will see that I do have the information that the local settings got updated. And I do know that I need to perform an action on this. Also, if I type art scout flush in order to remove my remote data, and now I can again perform a scout status in order to know that all the remote records got deleted. So give you really nice information that you can use in order to understand the current status of your indexation. Now let's move on into my favorite feature, which is aggregators. If you use Scout, you know that a model is always related to an index, which means you cannot have multiple types of models in the same index. So every time you want to provide a search experience, you have to search or for articles or for threads or whatever. With aggregators, we have solved this. Now you can search using a single search input in different types of models, because you can have multiple models in the same index. I'm going to demo this to you. How can you implement aggregators in your project? So you just have to type art scout, first the list of commands. So we do have here a scout make aggregator, which is, if I do type art scout make aggregator and I do type the name of the aggregator here, I do recommend you to use a generic name, because you are going to have multiple models here. So I do create a new aggregator class, and if I head over here, the aggregator class is created under app, search, news. And now this news is an aggregator, which is something that you can define which models should be aggregated in. So here I'm going to type, when people search on news, I want them to search on articles, but also on events. And now, if I do change my HTTP layer, I can just say, okay, now I want people to search on news instead of searching on articles, which leads, if I go to my demo project, sorry, I need to re-import my data. So I'm gonna just import again, which leads, if I now search, I do have events here, but I also have articles and events again. Which can be a really great search experience when you are searching different types of things in the same search input. Now, those are some features of Scout Extended, but we do have way more than this. We have macros, facades, front-end directives, and much more. If you have enjoyed this demo, I definitely recommend you to go to github.com Algolia Scout Extended, put a star on the right corner, and I'm glad to announce that we have just realized the beta, the version 0.1. Please check my Twitter account for some updates, and thank you.
One, two.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Questions?
Du coup, juste pour info, vous pouvez faire des questions en français, en anglais, comme vous.
I'm sorry, I have to throw it. I can't
Okay, so thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding the aggregator.
Yeah.
So is there a way, for example, if you have two models, one which is article, the other one is comment, and they both have a field which is title, is there a way to say that the title from the article is more important in the search than the title for from the comments?
No. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, basically, at least in my comments, in my opinion, there is no way of to do it. But I think I'm gonna just talk with my colleagues just after this in order to make sure that I give you the correct answer. But I do not think so. No. It's a great question, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Non, direct.
So I hope you liked it so far. I know that people at home liked it. So yeah, our next speaker is Pierre-Yves Lebec.
Yeah, thank you.
Technical stuff here. He will teach us how to use Zenaton, which will help you have great workflows with your queued jobs. Because you all know that with Laravel, having queued job is easy, but doing some orchestration can be hard. So yeah, please welcome Pierre-Yves.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here tonight. Sorry for the shaky voice. It's my first talk ever, so I'm quite scared here. Before we start, a little bit about me. So I'm Pierre-Yves. I work as a software engineer at Zenaton. Zenaton is about making possible for everyone to build, run, and scale world-class business workflows. But we'll get there in a minute, so I won't talk much about it for now. You have my email address if you need to reach out to me after today. and my Twitter account also, if you want. I don't tweet very much, but I read it a lot, so it's a great way to get in touch with me. So I worked with PHP for 9 years now. I worked at very different companies, for example, Sensio Labs, sorry, Maison du Monde, BlaBlaCar, and even if they are really different companies, they all had something in common, which is workflows or queued jobs orchestration. And it usually starts with the same story. It's somebody from the product team or the marketing team coming at me and saying, hey, can you do a real quick thing for me? And I say, yes, of course. And 5 minutes later, the quick thing is this kind of thing. And it's not quick at all. You don't have to read this one, it's just an example, but it's basically a workflow. So a workflow is a thing executing jobs in a specific order and making decisions about what should be done next. You can have very simple workflows. For example, if you just try to see if someone subscribes to your website, and if they don't order anything, for example, you will maybe send them discounts or something like that. So it's a very basic workflow, but it is one. And you can have very complex workflows. For example, at BlaBlaCar, you could think that ride sharing is a very simple thing, but actually a booking at BlaBlaCar is I don't know, I think a couple dozens of different steps to run. So it can get really complex. Today we will use as an example the Amazon dash button workflow, at least a very simple implementation of it. I don't know if everyone is familiar with these buttons. They are very small buttons that you can have at home, and you put them, for example, next to your printer. So when you run out of paper, you can just put the button, and Amazon is supposed to ship papers to your place. They have I don't know, maybe hundreds of different buttons, and each button corresponds to one product. So you can have one for your toothpaste, one for paper, one for almost everything. So basic version of this workflow. The first step is when the customer push the button, we need to charge its credit card to make sure that he is able to pay for the product. The next thing to do is we need to have a decision. Did it work or not? And if yes, it's the most easy path. We need to send an invoice, of course, send the product, and that's it, we are done. And if we could not charge the customer, we will ask for new payment information using an email or something like that. And after that, we need to we could wait for some time, for example, 14 days, just to make sure that we give them enough time to update their payment information. And if they do, we will go to the success path, which is send the invoice and the product. And if they don't, we will have to cancel the order, and we go to the failure path. So if you were to implement this using Laravel, the most basic implementation that comes to my mind is for orange rectangles, you will probably make jobs, of course. And for green diamonds, it's a little bit it's more complicated. You could make these decisions in the orange rectangles. So it means that you will have a job that will decide, depending of its own work, if it needs to dispatch another job, A, or a job B. But you have a kind of you break their responsibility. The job responsibility is only to do its job, and not taking a decision about if the next job should be A or B. Instead, you could implement them as event listeners. For example, the job will just send an event saying that I finished my job, this is the result, and the event listener will take the decision. And that would be okay. It should work. It's more difficult for the wait, because if we were only waiting for some time before doing something else, we could use the delay feature of Laravel jobs. But here we are trying to wait for either time or an event. And that makes things a little bit complicated. For that, we probably need to have maybe a mix of cron jobs with some state in database. So we will check like maybe every hour just to see if the customer has successfully paid or not their order. And of course, to be able to implement this workflow, you would need to have a queuing system, obviously, if you don't already have one. So this can be quite complicated for small companies that don't have the queuing system in the infrastructure. And this is just a very simple workflow. And of course, you can have much more complicated ones. So we are trying to build everything people need to do this kind of complex workflow very easily. So using Zenaton, you will not need a queuing system because we provide one. And you don't even have to think about the queuing system. You don't have to think about messages, queues, or stuff like that. You just write workflows, which corresponds to the green diamonds. Workflows are making decisions, and they will run what we call task, which is the same thing as a job in Laravel. Is it big enough in the back? Yeah? Okay. Oh, okay. So I will switch to the code. Okay. Oh yeah. I will just mirror. Does it work? Yeah. Okay. Easier for me. Okay. So this is a workflow. The workflow just implements a workflow interface, and the only important thing is the handle method, and it's basically what will be executed during this workflow. So here it's very much the same as we saw on the diagram. The first step is to charge the customer and get back the return value of this job. And for now it's just a boolean. So if we successfully charge the customer, we will skip this if condition, and we will fall in this in the success path, which is we send the invoice and we send the order to the shipping. And if we didn't succeed charging the customer, then we will ask for new payment information, and next we will wait. We will wait for either the order paid event, or at most we will wait for 14 days. And again, we just need to capture the execution of this wait task, and if the event is sent, we will get it right here. And if the timeout of 14 days expires, events will be null. And in that case, if event is here, we also go to the success path. And if not, we go to the failure path, which is cancel an order. So this is the workflow, and we can also take a look at the task, but almost all of them are completely fake for now. For example, charge customer will just return true or false. Where is it? Yeah, okay. It will so it will just make an instance of the payment service, and the payment service just returns true or false. So I can make both ways very easily. And ask for new payment information is just about sending an email. So it's very basic stuff. So if we try to run this example, I will make it this bigger. So I have also a shell script file. It's a virtual dash button. It's just making a curl, so it will just simulate the button press that make a curl to our website. So if I run this, you have the response almost immediately, and then you can see at the bottom that some stuff is still happening after we have the response. So we are in the very successful case right here. So I don't know if you can read the logs, but it's not very punted. It's just saying that we create an order, we successfully charge the customer. So the order status goes to paid, and the invoice is sent to the customer and to shipping. So I run it twice. I have yeah, it's my previous test, but it's just that I receive an email just to tell me that this is the invoice. Very basic email. Okay. Now if I change the payment service to return false instead. Okay. And if I run it, so it says that it created a new order, but we couldn't charge the customer, and it's asking customer for new payment details. So the workflow is still running, it's waiting for an event. So here I have an email saying that yeah, we couldn't charge you for the product. If you want to receive your order, you have 14 days to update your payment details. So I can click the link, and I made a very basic form to update the payment details. The rule is pretty basic. If my credit card number finishes with an even number, it's okay. Otherwise it's not. So let's do a failure for now. Okay, so here payment details still wrong. So nothing happens. The workflow is still waiting for an event saying that I successfully paid for the order for 14 days. And now if I so I still don't have any new mail. If I look at the logs, it's still saying that the payment was rejected. So it's still waiting. And if I update my payment details, so this will work because I have a 2 at the end. Okay, so now my order is confirmed, and my workflow can continue. And so you could have implemented this very easily also in Laravel, but you have using Xenaton, you have this workflow, which is very good to see the big picture. Everything you see here is distributed, of course. So even if it doesn't look like this, so when we start the button press, we dispatch the workflow. I can show you the controller if you want. Okay, so this is the order from dash button. So we create an order and we dispatch the workflow. So this returns immediately. and will execute the workflow as a queued job. And when you run the workflow, here you have the execution of a task. The task will also be executed as a background job, and the output will be captured and re-injected in the workflow to be able to make a decision. And that's very powerful because I think you cannot do that using queue jobs with Laravel. And if you wanted to know that the order was successfully charged or not, you would have to make a database query, for example, to just inspect the status of the order. And here you don't have to. You can just return stuff from your task and use them. So I could have made this workflow completely working without having to store the order status in the database if I wanted to. So that's pretty useful. If you have some errors, we have this dashboard that you can use. So for example, if I make charge customer, I can here throw anything. So here we're going to pretend that the payment provider is having technical issues or anything like that. You can run it again. So here in the logs, you obviously have the exception, and because we couldn't execute your workflow, you will have the fact that you have one instance running, because even if your workflow has some errors, it's running. In fact, it's waiting for you to fix your code. You can see that you have a task that has failed. You can see which one. It's a logic exception. You can just see details, stack trace, anything to help you debug. And you can retry it just by clicking. So it failed again, obviously. And you can just fix your code. You deploy it again, and you just click retry, and it should continue like it was before. So in that case, I received an email telling me that I need to update my payment details right here. Okay. Where are my slides? Get back up. Okay, so the benefits that you have when you use Zenaton, it's a clear vision of your workflow. It's very easy to see the big picture because everything is inside one class. You don't have to know that this job is called by this other job or stuff like that. You just read the workflow, and it's all is right here. We have also a versioning system that allows you to update your workflow, even if you have some workflows already running. So we will execute already running workflows using the old versions of your workflow, and new workflows will be run with the new version. So it's pretty cool to be able to update anytime you want. It's also very easy for new developers to understand all your business processes because again, it's very readable. You just read the code and it's right here. Everything is distributed, so even if the syntax looks like it's not, it is. We can run jobs sequentially if you need to use the return value, but if you don't, you can use the dispatch method instead of execute. And in that case, we just run it as a fire and forget, so you won't have the return value. So if you dispatch jobs, for example, 3 jobs in a row, they will be run mostly parallel because we can. You don't need one to be able to run the others. You have the ability to wait for time and events, and that's pretty cool to build your most complex workflows. And also you have monitoring using the dashboard. You can see how many workflows are running, failures. You can retry jobs, and there is also much more to come. We want to be able to show you the real-time execution of your code. So on the dashboard, you will see which line of code is currently running. Zenaton is not just about orchestrating job, because it's pretty cool indeed, but it's not enough. It's also about continuous improvement of your business workflows, because that's the most thing that you care about. So the goal is to make sure that, okay, we have done a very simple workflow, but what could we do better? So you can, for example, handle technical issues. If your payment system is failing, you can just why not wait an hour and try to charge again without saying anything to the customer, because they don't care. And you can wait one time, 3 times, using 15 minutes, 1 hour later, everything you want. You can send more reminders. For example, if the user forgets that he needs to update his payment information, you can wait 12 days, send a reminder, and wait for 2 extra days. So they won't forget anymore. And instead of canceling the order when the user doesn't update its payment details, you can maybe just send this order to one of your salesmen to make him able to call the customer by phone, for example. So in this example, it's not very appropriate, because you won't call someone just for toothpaste, 2 euros of toothpaste. But if you sell, if you have a big amount on your orders, for example, in your company, it could make sense. So it's all about having very easy workflow to code, to run, to scale, and to improve. That's the main point. That's it for me. I encourage you to check it out on zenaton.com. If you need to see the code again, you can see it on my GitHub. And if you have any question, it's the time.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. I wanted to know, we have a pretty complicated onboarding workflow, and I was wondering if you would recommend to use your service for that.
Yeah, you can use it for almost any kind of workflow. It could be technical workflows, it could be business workflows, even data workflows. And we have on zenaton.com also a quite good onboarding, of course, using zenaton.com. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, and another question: do you think it's safe to put it in the hand of the sales?
What do you mean?
Well, they are pretty destructive.
Oh, you want to put Zenaton in the hand of the sales team?
Yeah, exactly.
The main issue is that you still have to write code. You have to write your workflows and your task as code. So you can use PHP, Ruby, Go. We support 5 languages for now, but the goal is to have almost all of them. So if they are able to code, I would say maybe.
No, I mean if I create the pieces for them, and then they can play with the workflow.
I'm not sure to understand what you're trying to achieve.
Okay, maybe we should talk about that later.
Yeah, sure. Just come by after that.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Do you have a community plan like Algolia in order to use your service?
Sorry?
A community plan.
Oh, you have we have a free plan. I think for now it's you can run many tasks for free. Okay. It's 200,000, I think, per month, and I think it will stay for a while.
Thank you. Do we have more questions?
In your example, your Laravel app executes all of the tasks.
Yeah.
How does it work when you have several workers, maybe in different languages, that execute your workflow? Could you write it in the same way?
For now, I would say no, but it's planned. Maybe in a very long time, but we want to be able to execute workflow cross languages. So you define the only pain points will be that you will have to code the workflow and the task in both languages, and they have to be the same, of course. But for now, it's not. It's possible to run, for example, a workflow on different microservices, for example. It's possible to do that, but people that try to do it were using only one programming language. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi again. So the next speaker will be live from the US in Arkansas, I guess. Music. So yeah, Nuno will take care of what's need to be done for you guys to see him and for him to see all of us. So if you have some questions, get ready. If you don't, get ready really fast. It's coming soon. And we might take some questions from the live stream too. So yeah. Did you like it so far? It was nice. You learned a lot. Yeah, I didn't know at all about Zenaton, so it's really cool. Oh, that's me. Inception me.
Okay, guys, don't leave your places. We are going to have Taylor Otwell in a matter of seconds. Let me just say that we have more than 50 people seeing the live stream, which can be pretty cool. Hi, Taylor. Taylor, are you listening to me? Okay, I don't think so. Hi, Taylor. Okay, I think I need to unmute him. Can you give me that? Meanwhile, please do think about questions because we have Taylor tonight. So, hi, Taylor.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for being here today, man.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I'm in a hotel room.
No, it's perfectly fine. And thank you so much for having the availability of give us this possibility of make you some questions. And in order to break the ice, I'm going to do the first one. And the question is, how did you come up with the name Laravel for the framework?
I really struggled with names for a long time and went through a few names, but eventually I just picked Laravel because I just thought it sounded kind of cool, and it really has no deep meaning, unfortunately. There's no fun story, really. It just sounded cool, and I went with it.
Okay, so let's give the next question to the audience. We do have someone over there. Can you? Yeah, just throw it. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, thanks again for joining us. My question is, there will be a Laravel 6, and if so, if you already started thought of it, what will be if you can share with some thoughts with us?
Yeah, there probably will be a Laravel 6 eventually. I just haven't had any huge breaking changes that really were big enough to want or warrant a Laravel 6. I think it's, one thing we have to watch is just what PHP does with PHP 8. If that has pretty substantial improvements and changes that could warrant a Laravel 6. Also, I may eventually just jump to Laravel 6 because I don't want to go to Laravel 5.10 or 5.10, just because some people find it a little confusing to have a 5.1 and a 5.10. So yeah, we'll see in the next year or so. We may jump to Laravel 6, and it may not be any big paradigm changes. It may just be because it's been long enough on Laravel 5. I guess by then, if we get to Laravel 5.10, that will be basically 5 years of Laravel 5. So maybe time to move then.
Thank you.
Then the next one. Yeah.
Hi. So Laravel Nova is out for 3 or 4 months now. Are you satisfied with the result and how much it's used and sold, and how much feature you have? Or do you have more plans for Nova now?
Yeah, we have a lot of plans for Nova. We're pretty satisfied with what we set out to do. Our main goal really was to build a nice backend admin panel for Laravel. People use Nova in different ways and ways we didn't expect, really. So a good number of people try to use it as their main application front end, which wasn't really our intention. And sometimes, they have different expectations if you're using it for a front end versus sort of a more developer back end. But some of the features we're looking at now are, I know, custom filters with if you want filters with checkboxes or, something other than a drop down. Also responsive design, probably be in the next big release of Nova. Trying to think of what else we've talked about. I know we had one more feature. But yeah, overall, we're pretty happy with it. I just looked at my history. So like inline many to many, when you create a new resource, so like if you create a new user that has many and belongs to many roles, you can attach the roles right there when you create the user. So that's been another feature we're looking at adding. Those three are kind of the main big ones we're kind of looking at right now. I think custom filters, responsive, and inline many to many.
But for now, it would stay an admin dashboard for you as a maintainer, but not as a customer-facing admin.
That's how I like to use it. I can't make anyone not use it for their main customer-facing thing, and some people have successfully, but that just wasn't the main goal when we wrote it. It wasn't the main intention. I think it's just incidental that it can work that way.
Great.
Hello, I have a question about the philosophy of the future implementation of the future features of Laravel. We heard a lot about low code. Is it the main philosophy, or is it another philosophy for the future?
Can someone repeat what was the philosophy? Can someone repeat the question for me?
Oh, okay.
I couldn't hear.
I was wondering what was the philosophy of the future of Laravel. Is it focused on low code, or is it focused on anything else?
I think it's the philosophy is pretty much the same for the future. I don't know, things I've been working on lately are just trying to make sure Laravel is a good modern backend for things like, people are building more and more APIs or mobile backends. I'd like to do performance improvements, and then also, yeah. So that's kind of the main. Those are still kind of the main things we look at going forward.
The next question comes from my Twitter account. People would like to know what you like to see on PHP in the future.
Well, there was a really cool RFC the other day, just a few days ago actually, for PHP 7.4, where in your php.ini you can specify a file called a preload file that's responsible for kind of including any classes that you use a lot, like on every request. So that would it actually gives a really big performance improvement if your application bootstrap process is sort of your bottleneck, which for some people it's not going to be because they're making a lot of database calls or whatever. So that's a really cool feature. I mean, I'm sure on like a Hello World benchmark, I think that's supposed to give 30 to 40% speed improvements, which is a really big improvement. So that will be nice in PHP 7.4. And then my other features I would like. Of course, I always have wanted shorter closure syntax, kind of like JavaScript's arrow functions. Gosh, what else? I mean, those are the main ones that come to mind. But I actually think PHP's gotten a lot better, over the past 3 or 4 years. So it's hard for me to come up with a lot of feature ideas. The speed improvements are always, some of my favorites. But short closures would be nice. Can't think of anything else really that just jumps out at me. But I don't know, PHP's in a good place, really. It's gotten a lot better.
Okay, thank you. We do have a couple of questions on a live stream, but I'm going to just ask if someone here would like to make a question. Yeah, I'm going to just give you this mic because I think people at the home don't listen correctly on that one.
Hi, I have a question about the future of Laravel Mix. Will it evolve to Webpack 4 and with all the new stuff on Vue.js? There's some things to...
I was just talking to Jeffrey about that yesterday, actually, and I think they're waiting for Webpack 5, which is, he said it was supposed to come out fairly soon, but I don't know what the exact date is. So I think they're waiting on that to update to that, and I guess the latest version of all the other plugins and stuff. So yeah, I know that they're working on it. That's actually one of the few Laravel related projects that I don't maintain or work on or really have anything to do with as far as maintenance wise. It's really Jeffrey Way's project, but that's what we talked about yesterday. So that's kind of all the information I have.
Okay, thanks.
Someone else? Okay. I'm going to give to Julien, then to our colleague over there.
Hi. I had a question after Nova and Laravel Telescope. What's your next big project?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I've just been tinkering with a few things, but I can't say anything's really stuck with me yet. So I don't actually have a really big project going on right now. So what we've been working on, we as in me and Mohammed, have been working on just Forge and Envoyer improvements. We're starting implementing the new design of Envoyer, which we've had for a while. We just haven't had time to get out there. And adding new features to Forge like MySQL 8, Postgres 11. I'll probably add a MongoDB option. But yeah, as far as big secret projects, there's really not any right now. So hopefully by January or December, I know kind of what I want to do for the next Laracon or what I want to try to unveil. So I don't know. hopefully I come up with something.
Thank you. So go ahead.
Hey Taylor, thanks for being with us. It's a bit of a personal question. I was just wondering, how's your work life? How many conferences do you do a month? How do you organize your work among the framework, the support of your different package and stuff like that?
Yeah, so as far as speaking, I actually have pretty much stopped speaking at conferences other than Laracon just because, it's a lot of travel time and having kids and stuff. It's hard to travel a lot. So I actually attend a conference in the US called MicroConf. I've been there the last few years. It's kind of a product development conference, but I don't speak at it or anything. I just go sit and listen. And then like for my average work day, it's usually I get up and I'm in my office upstairs about 8 o'clock. And first thing I like to do is answer all my customer support emails. And then once those are answered, which usually Mohammed is 6 or 7 hours ahead of me time wise. So usually he's actually answered quite a few of them. And then I'll tackle whatever's left. And then after that, that only takes maybe like 20 minutes. Then after that, I'll go to GitHub and I look at all the pull requests for every Laravel repository, and merge or close or do whatever I need to do on those. So I try to keep that to around like 10 pull requests or less on the whole organization at a time. Otherwise, they increase really quickly. So if I don't work on them for even just like 2 days, I would probably have like 50 pull requests. So I have to stay on top of it. And then once I finish GitHub, usually it's like, I don't know, 9 or 9:30 a.m. And after that, I kind of just work on whatever project we have going on, or whether that's Forge, or lately it's been Laracon planning, emailing people about venues and stuff. And then I wrap up around 5. So it's a pretty normal work day, really. The first things I do are customer support and GitHub, and then just work on whatever.
Thank you. I'm gonna just say that our live stream is about to explode. We have a lot of people saying thank you, Taylor, for creating Laravel, and we also had the question: in the perfect world, where do you see Laravel in 5 years? Like bringing more people along?
Yeah. I mean, I hope it's even bigger. Of course, it's bigger than I ever anticipated, really. But I'm glad it's been around this long. It's already 7 years old, and in 5 years, I hope it's even bigger. I think PHP is a lot of people, it's kind of their first web language because it's so easy to learn, it's easy to hack on, and Laravel is kind of positioned in such a way that it's a good starting point for beginners because they can just open up a routes file and start editing the code and get quick feedback. And we try to keep the documentation as high quality as possible so that it's easy for new people to learn, even though the framework has gotten more advanced and has more features now. So I just hope we keep making people's lives easier, adding nice new features where they make sense, good packages, and just kind of keep doing what we're doing, just get bigger and bigger. But I don't know, it's been fun.
Okay, there is still time for a last question, Taylor?
Sure.
Okay, who wants to take the last question? Okay, we have somewhere there. Let's go.
Thank you, Taylor, to be with us. I'm looking for a developer now, and I have a lot of developers using Symfony, and I would like to know what to say to those developers to convince them to use Laravel and to make the community bigger in Laravel. Thank you.
That's a hard question. People are very kind of passionate about their tools, not just frameworks, but like, editors or things like that. I think it's hard to convince someone unless they try it, and see it, because it's hard to visualize, what using Laravel is like. If you're even just reading the documentation, you don't really get like the whole picture of how it all fits together, I don't think. So I think if people try to build like a small application, just a small basic kind of CRUD application that they can see some of the power and some of the benefits that maybe aren't around in like other frameworks. Like I think, some of the job queuing stuff is really nice. Horizon pairs really nicely with that. And then pairing it up with Nova or Spark or something like that, you get a nice complete package. But Symfony is really good. I mean, it's a good framework, so it's hard to it's not like you're trying to convince them to move from, plain PHP to Laravel. If they're already on a good framework, it could be harder, but I just like letting people try it and seeing how nice it is to use, and hopefully it speaks for itself.
Thanks. I would stay here like all night making questions, but I'm gonna do a question from the live stream. Where is going to be Laracon OS in the next year?
Well, that's what I'm kind of traveling around looking at. So right now I'm actually in New York City looking at a couple of venues, although I haven't booked any venues, so I can't guarantee that it will be any certain city, but cities we look at. Usually how I decide this is I actually go to Google Analytics and I just find, where are the densest populations of Laravel users in the US at least. And so for the US, that means, let me mute my sound. In the US, that means number one is New York by a good margin. And then number two is Los Angeles, actually. Some people expect it to be like San Francisco or something, but it's not. And then number three is Chicago, which is where we had it last year. So, we'll see. I really like New York in a way because it's on the East Coast, so it's actually easier for European people to get, a lot of times you can get direct flights if you're in a larger European city. Chicago is fairly similar. So that helps a lot with the European guests that travel here. And so we'll see. I'm actually going to another venue right after this call to walk through it and look at it, and we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, we are over time. So Taylor, thank you so much for your time. I think we are all thankful. And yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
So please do enjoy the night because we have a lot of pizza, beer, and please enjoy this opportunity to make some friends, to talk with other developers because it's the best from the meetup, to be honest, okay? Thank you so much.